By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying.
Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome to another Tanakh review. My name is Zurishaddai, one of the teachers of Congregation BINAH, CHOKMAH, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, New York. Giving all glory and praise to the Most High King of the universe, Yehudah, for life, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I'm grateful to this mighty King for all things and everything, and I pray that the Creator of heaven and earth be with us all. So, we missed a couple of weeks, I believe. So, today, wishing everybody early Shabbat Shalom and giving all glory to the Most High King of the universe always. Missed a couple of weeks, but we're going to pick up on in Proverbs chapter 2 and Proverbs chapter 3. Pick up both of those Proverbs, and we're going to, I'm going to pass it on to one of my teachers and one of my mentors, even Nasik, Zurishaddai ben Yehudah. How are you, Nasik?
Great, Brother Hashem. First of all, I give praises to the supreme intelligence of the universe, God of my forefathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob. Due respects to the platform I'm on, the D.C.B channel platform, spiritual leader, Chief Prince Ariel and Saska, the host Chief Uziel, to the Princes, Chiefs, Rabbinate, Cornine, Maureen, brothers and sisters, visitors. I greet you in the tongue of my forefathers. Shalom Aleichem and an early Shabbat Shalom. Now I can start off with Adonai Septai Titakufi Agi Tilateaka. Oh Lord, open down my lips and my mouth should declare thy praise. I had the great honor to be able to, before I start with the Sidra, I had the honor to be able to go to Beit Shalom Ben Isaac and Ethiopian Hebrew congregation in Chicago for 7 new rabbis that graduated from the Israelite Rabbinic Academy, and they all spoke very, very well. That ensured the future of the academy, because everyone was really outstanding in their dissertation when they approached the podium, and the future looked very bright for the academy. And I say Yashikoa, that all of them, be strengthened in God in the pursuit to be able to shed this wisdom, knowledge, understanding to the various segments of the country that they might be in the world. So with that being said, I'm just going to highlight a couple portions in a couple spots in Noah and a couple spots in Lakah, and I'll be reading Proverbs 2 and 3. I was out of town, and also the host might be out of town, so it'll be a little difficult. So I might have to do a double portion in the next couple of weeks, to be able to sync, with keep in step somewhat. So be patient. I will try to be better in the future in my dissertation, and try to be more on a consistent, timely basis. But sometimes, the host got to go out of town. I have to go out of town. So, but we thank you for your support and supporting the D.C.B channel. And any comments and any questions that can be addressed, you can always put in the chat. And if I see it in timely basis, I'll try to do my best to address it. I will address it, but hopefully you have the answers that is appropriate for the questions. So in the book of Noah, I just want to highlight, because I'm not doing the Sidra, just so I can bring out some interesting points in the Sidra. one of the things is that Noah's an outstanding man, and we enter a second millennium of mankind. The last man to be alive, according to the chronological order, is Adam died during Adam, but it's Lamech. So Noah, this next man, didn't have the opportunity to see the first man that was made by God, and formed and created by God. But the father was living during a time period where Adam was alive. But Noah had some good ancestors, such as Enoch and such as Methuselah, as well as his father himself, Lamech. But one of the things that we know, the earth was corrupt. And Noah, it's interesting how it starts off with the book of Noah. But what's even more interesting, as I said before, is how his father decided to name him, and he named him for the hope of the future, almost like prophetically. And if we just look back, just a little bit into the birth of Noah, before I talk about Noah himself, and said, and then in the 5th chapter, it just says, and Lamech lived 182 years and begot a son, and he called his name Noah. This same shall comfort us in our work and in the toil of our hands, which cometh from the ground, which the Lord hath cursed. So, it's ironic that the father is looking for comfort in the son, and the child should be comforted in the father, more so. And then when we look, just to highlight a couple of things, then we can talk about how bad, everything got in the 5th verse of the 6th chapter. And the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will blot out man whom I created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I made them. It repented me that I made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Now, sometimes when we read and we talk about the violence of men, and I want to bring that out before I get into the Noah thing, is that when we think about the violence of men, not only men was corrupt, but the animals and those things that was enumerated right here was corrupt. So it's not just man, but the creatures. Man also affected the creatures, and the creatures corrupted themselves. That's why they were slated to die in the flood, simply because man also had influence even over the beast. And the beast transformed and started doing, where, commerce, violence, and everything was going on in the earth. Whatever the case is, they wasn't operating according to the will of the Creator, because of what man, who's supposed to be in charge. Usually, when a leader get out of control, then the flock, the membership, gets out of control. And so it's important for the leader, to maintain self-discipline. So it is that I just want to bring that out, and you could discuss it further. But I want to go into this. Just a couple of things here. That's in the book of Noah. It says where it starts at. These are the generation of Noah. Noah was in his generation a man righteous and wholehearted. Noah walked with God, and Noah begot 3 sons: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the earth was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way upon the earth. All right. So when you talk about violence, like I said, the word Hamas is used here. And it's not only means violence, but also it's a derivative of the word that means to be possessed by something other than a godly spirit and like a possession. But when we look at this here, it talks about the generation, and I've spoken on it before in the past, and I find this marvel is that it's talk about the accolades of Noah when it should be talking about his sons first, and then talk about his accolades, or leave out the word generation. Said Noah was this type of man, and he also had sons, and his sons were thus and thus. But it started off, and these are the generations of Noah, and it talks about his accolades, which is more defining of him than his sons. Can you imagine that? That Noah is defined more by his accolades than he's all being defined by the children that he brings forth. And then usually we say a tree is known by the fruit it bears. Just a little different, just something to ponder. All right. So we know he's given this task, and people always, to build an ark. All right. And I'm not going to speak on it much because I just want to highlight a couple of things in it. But one of the things is that Noah, when we look at the people in the ark, but Noah himself, some people look at it that Noah was only righteous, and they try to compare him to Abraham, which I'm going to touch on in just a moment. They try to compare him to Abraham and said that he was, when they say in his generation, that had he lived in Abraham's generation, he wouldn't have been so righteous. Well, Noah did live at the time Abraham was alive. Abraham was able to see this great man Noah. So that just dispelled that viewpoint about Noah is only good compared to the wickedness of everybody else. Noah is that protogender of anybody that's gonna be righteous, anybody that's gonna be holy, anybody that's gonna walk with God. He got more accolades than anybody else in the scriptures. The closest anybody get close to that is Job. So therefore, it kind of astounds me that or make me wonder in the sense that when you have commentaries that would say, had he lived in Abraham's time, he may not have been so righteous. When yet you only read one era of his life that he let himself get caught out there. One error, one mistake. And then when we look at it, we could also say that if the flood came in Noah's 600 year, imagine that half a millennium, right? Or more than 400 years short of 1,000 years. So imagine people who grew up with him for 500 years, gone. Family members, gone. Friends, gone. Who could he relate to, joke with? They're gone. And he spent 120 years at work, working on the ark. So, and what's interesting is that the ark wasn't meant to sail, it was meant to stay afloat. All right, and some of the things we can learn from the story, but I don't want to, belabor it too long. But the ark being unique, a tavak, which you only find that word used more so. It could mean a chest, but you find that word used also when Moses was put in a tavak. And when we think about the ark, we think about it as gopher wood, 300 cubits one way, 50 cubits another way, and then 100 50 and 100 cubits another way. And then we talk about the actual window, which is have two words which for discussion, which is Zohar and Cologne. It's referred to as both. And it said, and it talked about the size of that window and all. And you wonder, what kind of trip that's going to be? Can you imagine? He got animals, he got cages, and he told to bring food in on the ark. And he told to build one window in the upper level of the ark. And what would he see for the first 40 days? It would look just like, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. That's what it would look like if he had looked out for the first 40 days. Waters coming from above and below. But I don't have the time to really go into a lot of stuff. I just want to bring out some of those points there in reference to Noah. And I know some people I talked to in between time, they say I should bring out this and bring out that, but I don't really have the time to bring out all that stuff at this particular point. But so yeah, 300 cubits and then bring up breath, 50 cubits, in the height, and 30 cubits, and 30 cubits, yeah, height of 30, the height of 30 cubits. All right, so 30 cubits, so 300 cubits long, 50 cubits height, I mean 30 cubits height and 50 cubits wide. Excuse me. Let me get this straight before I get down the call. 300 cubits long, 50 cubits high. I mean wide, 50 cubits wide. Making a mistake here. And 30 cubits high. That means that you got a cubit. You got 10 cubits for each level. All right. So imagine you had 3 stories on each level. So and when you had the 3 stories in each level, you have cages in there because the animals got to be put in their own particular compartments. Also, you have one level where Noah and his family would be, and you have where they had to have the food, and then you have waste products. Let's say in the stasis. But one of the things about the ark, and I bring it out, and it said it was pitched within and without. We only think about the ark being pitched within. We don't think of it as being coated like a paint job on the outside. And we, and it has a, let's say like you have the way we would look at the Hebrew word, it would be like a pitched top, not a flat top, but a pitched top where water can run on the side. And it's made to be buoyant, to float, stay afloat. The ark itself was almost like a safe haven. It was a safe haven. Matter of fact, it was a safe haven compared to everything that existed around them. So, being that that was like a truly a sanctuary, as the same as when we read thousands of years later with Moses in the ark as a sanctuary. But Moses' time was in the ark, and his ark was a lot shorter than actually Moses' time. But it was there to save life, make a transition from one world to another world. So now I'm just gonna move straight ahead and just talk about Lech Lecha before I go into the Proverbs. And one of the things when we get into Lech Lecha, which is around the 12th chapter. And it goes on and say in the 12th chapter, now the Lord said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto the land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation. And I will bless thee and make thy name great, and be thou a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee will I curse. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. All right. So Abraham's starting his journey, at 75. But what we have in common between Adam, Bereshit, when we talk about Noah, and we talk about Abram. Some of the things with Noah itself, for a man that, one I like to focus on this, from this perspective. Adam was taken from outside the garden and put in the garden, all right, in a paradise. He's formed outside, but he's placed inside a paradise. And yet he had to leave a paradise because of his own, lack of adherence, to go out into a much harsher world than it was when he was formed. Can you imagine that? He's facing a rougher world when he leaves the garden to go into a place where he was taken from that has really transformed, because now you got thorns and thistles, and the earth is not cooperative as it was before, would be normally. And then you got Noah. The world that he knows that's fully developed, he goes into, but where chaos reigns, he goes into a safe haven, which is the ark itself. Very safe haven. And then out of that safe haven, he's told by God to leave the ark. Leave the ark. So now he's coming from a place of safety. He had food, provision. He had to worry about a care in the world, because the Creator was protecting him for that period of time. And he's told to leave and go and spread abroad in the earth. The earth is not developed like it was before. He's coming back to a more harsher terrain than when he left. Let's take a note. Abraham. Abraham is told, Lech Lecha. We get, it's think about these names and stuff like that as a whole. When you think of Noah's name, Noah means rest, Noach. But just turn the letters around, when you got, Chet Nun, as opposed to Nun Chet, you have grace, Chaim, grace. He earned the grace before the Creator, and yet he had, and because he didn't get the rest he wanted, he didn't keep the rest he wanted. Then you got Abraham, like I said, Lech Lecha, go for yourself, or go to what you might become. The numerical value for Lech Lecha is 100. We know later on, the story, that's when he really accomplished finally, what he wanted in life, when he had his son, Isaac, at 100 years old. But also, when he told Abraham to leave, and each time he told to leave on a more intense level. First time, leave, the land of your birth. Most of us do. Most of us are born maybe in one city, and we move and live in another city, and might call the other city, if we live there long enough, home. And then said, leave your father's house. Well, most of us, when we get grown, we want to get our own little place. All right. But it's difficult to say, okay, I want to leave my father's house because he was taking care of me all this time. All right. And so now I got to get out on my own. Get a little bit more intense, and leave your kindred. That means I got to cut all ties. So Abraham leaving from when God called him, each step was a more traumatic step because each one takes a little bit more strength. It takes a little strength to leave the place of your birth. It takes more strength to talk about, I'm going to leave out my father's house and try to go home. And it's further strength to say, I got to cut my family loose. So it got me into a land I'm going to show you. So hence you got the promises that God had gave him to be a successful individual. First time, excuse me, just the first time you have in history where a man will actually be able to be a blessing. Before this here time, before Abraham's time, you don't find where anybody was able to bless anyone. You find that even the great Noah, he cursed somebody, but you never read where he actually blessed anyone. First time you find that a man is given a power and authority to bless is with Father Abraham. By him even being a blessing and being able to bless. But before that, that concept didn't, show itself within the book of the scriptures. And another thing I just want to bring this a highlight on is that lekha, the word lamed kaf, it could be changed around. You could change from lamed kaf to kaf lamed, which is called, which is also a form of word which you could say is whole. The whole thing, all of it. All right. So he could become, when leaving that spot, all he needed to become. But each one had to, in the Genesis story, divine power, divine holiness manifested itself on the lower planes on earth. Now, each one of their jobs is to develop the earth and bring holiness from down below up high to ascend again. And that's what each one of these guys' roles and jobs was, to be able to take something, because the land of Canaan means lowland. That's what it means, lowland. And when Abraham started off in his journey, he discovered something, a famine, something that we never heard of in the earth, a famine, the first time. And then, they said, he went down into Egypt. Anytime you go to Israel, they say we go up to Israel in the scriptures. But anytime you leave Israel, they say you're going down somewhere. All right? Even if you're going north, you're going down somewhere. So he went down into Egypt. And he came back. And it'd be a short trip. Come back to where he needed to develop, which is in the land of Canaan. That's when he can really develop and become all that God wants him to be. So I'm not going to speak too much on that, because it's just so much stuff to be shared. You got several different stories and episodes of Abraham's life that I could touch on, and I'm sure that the various teachers in the various congregations spoke on quite a bit, and more than most of us can, contain in one lesson. But there's a lot of lessons to be learned from lekha itself about Abram, who's called at this time, and he introduced to a thing of circumcision in this particular portion. And what's unique about circumcision is that most inheritance, when we talk about an inheritance, usually an inheritance, you don't have to do anything to get an inheritance. When a 1-year-old child could inherit something, he did nothing for it, and it becomes his. All right. So an inheritance becomes yours, your personal property. But when we talk about the circumcision, of the flesh, excuse me. When we talk about the circumcision of the flesh, then we're talking in reference to the covenant of Abraham. So how did we, we don't never inherit the covenant of Abraham by being following the rules of circumcision, especially the males. What we do is come into the covenant of Abraham. It's not changed from Abraham to us. It never become, Crown Prince Zurishaddai's covenant. It's still the covenant of Abraham with the circumcision. And you say, well, what do women have to look forward to? They don't want to talk about the circumcision of the heart. And the thing is that Abraham earned, that covenant himself. He earned it, and God, allotted it that. The circumcision of the heart, we ourselves is given that by the Creator, and we earned that, so it becomes ours. When you have the circumcised heart, that's male and female in that area. So that's some of the things I like to bring out in reference to that. And I'm going straight to the Proverbs because they're pretty long, and I'm gonna kind of go through it a little bit expeditiously, not to hold your time so long. So we'll be covering from Proverbs, Book of Mishlei, the 2nd chapter. And remember, the Proverbs is basically composed by King Solomon. And we have a few that was actually supposed to been set up by King but for the most part, Solomon had a lot of Proverbs. We only have a few here. And so we're going to start second chapter, first verse.
We go into the book of Proverbs, chapter 2.
Yes.
Starting
Chapter
from
2.
verse 1.
Right.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
It reads, My son, if thou wilt receive my words and lay up my commandments with thee, so that thou make thine ear attend unto wisdom, and thy heart incline to discernment, yea, if thou call for understanding and lift up thy voice for discernment, if thou seek her as silver and search for her as for hid treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of Yehovah and find the knowledge of God.
Stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
Stop right there. The first part of the Proverbs talks about wisdom, like it's talking like a person. Wisdom becomes a person in the first chapter of Proverbs. But now it's not like wisdom talking about herself like an entity, like it's an entity itself, like as an entity itself. That's what we have in the first Proverbs. In the second Proverbs, now you have a teacher explaining wisdom, a teacher giving you insight. So it's no longer wisdom talking, it's somebody sharing what they know and giving you instructions and insight. So now this is coming from a teacher to a student. All right, continue.
Verse 6, it reads, For Yehovah giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and discernment. He layeth up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to them that walk in integrity, that he may guard the paths of...
All right. So now we know that if the Creator giveth wisdom, and out of his mouth cometh knowledge and discernment, and let you know that it's more about the Creator. A lot of people pursue just secular knowledge and everything like that. You're going to, now, by no means to serve the Creator, you got to be ignorant, unintelligible. But the thing is that, and letting you know right then and there, this is what you gain by, following and fearing God. So the fear of God first, is focus on that, the fear of the Lord. And if you have the fear of the Lord itself, then it's already a certain type of intelligence, a certain type of intellect. All right, continue.
It reads, verse 8, that he may guard the paths of justice and preserve the way of his godly ones. Then thou shalt understand righteousness and justice and equity, yea, every good path. For wisdom shall...
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll stop at 10. We'll get to 10. All right. So, in other words, what standard do you live by? A lot of people say, I don't believe in the scriptures. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in this and that. So then tell me, what is your moral standard? How do you live? What you consider a decent individual? And how do you come by that? And one of the things about wisdom itself, as we're going to find later when we go through these two chapters, is that we're going to find a word, well, not in English, but kesef, kindness. And when we think about kindness, most people, and amongst the Greeks and and the Romans, they think of kindness as charity only. And for us, when you think of charity, and in the secular world, and I'm going a little bit myself, but I'm trying to step this up a bit. When you go talk about charity in the secular world, it's always like, I'm up here, and the guy I'm extending this aid to is down here. So you have two different. But when we get to it, we'll find out that no such thing as that. When you have a kesef, that you're extending it from a higher or lower. Individual is on the same level, so you actually really see a reflection of yourself in a different perspective. But continue. Let's see what's going on. 10 verse.
Verse 10 read, For wisdom shall enter into thy heart, and knowledge shall be pleasant unto thy soul. Discretion shall watch over thee, discernment shall guard thee, to deliver thee from the way of evil, from the men that speak forward things. Who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil and delight in the forwardness of evil. Who are crooked in their
some people actually enjoy doing evil. That's what they do. That's what they live for. And so when from the men that speak forward things, guys that have ill regard for human dignity. That's what we have here. To walk in the ways of darkness and rejoice to do evil, and delight in the forwardness of evil. I keep on 15. Who are crooked in their ways and perverse in their paths. All right.
Verse 15, it reads.
16. Pick up from 16.
16. To deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the alien woman, and maketh smooth her words. That forsaketh the Lord of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her God. For her house sinketh down unto death, and her paths unto the shades. None that go unto her return, neither do they attain unto the paths of life. That thou mayest walk in the way of good men, and keep the paths of the righteous. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the wholehearted shall remain in it. But the wicked shall be cut off from the land, and the faithless shall be plucked up out of it. Hallelujah.
All right, we're going to the third. I just want to bring up that point. All right. It's saying that people that would be promiscuous, be extra promiscuous in a sense. If you love to do evil, if you have a lack of knowledge, a lack of wisdom, lack of understanding, that you'll be taken low, and be snared. And it uses, I hate that it uses a woman in a sense, but evil is always attractive. Anything you want to do that's wrong always become attracted to you, and it takes a certain type of discipline to see the ugliness and the wrong things in life. And some of us will just close eyes, with eyes be open, but we see not, and it's almost like the idols that some people will worship. Eyes they have, but they see not. Ears they have, but they hear not. No mouth they don't speak. Feet they don't walk. Hands they don't work. So the teacher here is saying that it's not just going to be you making a fool of yourself and corrupting yourself, but you're also going to mess around and be taken advantage of by your own conceit. But let's go into the third. There's a lot in here, but it talks about the bad woman you're trying to avoid here. So let's go into the third
chapter 3, verse 1. My son, forget not my teaching, but let my heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace will they add to thee. Let not kindness and truth forsake thee. Let not kindness and truth forsake thee. What happened?
Yeah, keep going.
Let not kindness and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the table of thy heart. So shalt thou find grace and good favor in the sight of God and man. Trust in Yehovah with all thy heart, and lean not upon thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths. Be not wise in thy own eyes, fear Yehovah, and depart from evil.
Your mouth is moving, but I don't know if you got something going on there.
No, but you're actually getting a lot of staticky sounds. So let me pick it up from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1. It reads, my son, forget not my teaching, but let thy heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace will they add to thee. Let not kindness and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the table of thy heart. So shalt thou find grace and favor in the sight of God and man. Trust in Yehovah with all thy heart.
I find favor inside of God and man. So it's telling you a reward. You get a reward for this. That's what it's saying. By the heavenly and earthly rewards you get from adhering to these years' teaching. But go ahead and 3. All right, keep going. 5.
It reads, verse 5. Trust in Yehovah with all thy heart, and lean not upon thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths. Be not wise in...
Okay. First of all, one of the things that in the beginning of about 3, which I went a little fast. When they talk about in the second verse, but length of days and years of life. I just want to bring that out. Since I'm not bringing out so many different points in this particular Proverbs in this chapter, that if you got length of days, don't you have life? So why did it say length of days or years in life? If I got years, it's stand a reason I'm alive. If I don't have any years, it's stand a reason I'm no longer here. So why throw in something that seems redundant when you say, years, and then you bring up life? It's because some people are like the walking dead. Some people be around, but they actually is like a vegetable. They actually, it's not really enduring life. And they're talking about the rewards. Everybody with the law itself and the commandments. We said honor your father and your mother, and it give you a reward for the length of days. All right, we realized that the adhering to the instructions of Torah is life and the length of days. It's in his hands, as we're gonna get through later on. So length of days, everybody want length of days. Now, mind you could get weaker. You're not might be being strong, might not be in the shape you was maybe in your youth, but you don't want you can still say I'm living some of the best lifetime in my life. One of the things I can never grasp. I mean, my grasp, I'll never really be satisfied when people say, "Man, back in the good old days." I say, "Wow, that's behind you. You better hope the days in front of you is better." And that's what we're talking about here. All right, but and then when you talk about the exaltation of faith, all right, trust in the Lord with all their heart and lean not to your own understanding. Some people think they figured it all out on their own. I don't need nobody to tell me anything. I don't need nobody to direct me anywhere. I can figure this out by myself. Trusting to your own understanding means that you think you're smarter than everyone around you, and you have this novel knowledge that no one else has. That's ego edging God out. But it's going a little bit further.
It reads, verse 7, be not wise in thy own eyes, fear Yehovah, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. Honor Yehovah with thy substance.
Let's talk about the navel. Because some people, think they say some slick stuff, intelligent stuff. I'm just going to use this here because most of the people, it's New Yorkers that might look at this here. One person said that immigration, the immigration thing, the migration, it was successful, paraphrasing somewhat, but we need to stop it. So now, if something's successful, when do you stop success? All right, so what's that? Somebody thinking that, why? So trying to play politically correct or try to balance the political scales on one side or the other. But if something is successful and you say, but we need to put an end to it, we need to stop it, then either you might have a retrograde mind, or you don't recognize, it's not really what you think it is. So that's what the Proverbs brings out here, in reference to be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord and depart from evil. And then the last part is, it shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. Let's talk about the navel. The navel is a lifeline. That's what you was fed as an embryo in your mother's womb. And the navel is okay, you living there, you're eating good. It's when it's seven on your birth, when you come out, then you got to work on your own. But right then and there, it's almost like they have this different expression. Why do a child cry? Now I'm just going to go with the basic ones, some of the basic expressions. Is that it ain't so much the air rushing in their lungs. It's now they got to work on their own. They got to struggle. They got to maintain. Where they were safe, they didn't have to look out for where they was going. They didn't have to worry about what they was going to eat. They know they're going to be fed. They know they're going to be protected. So the thing is that Torah instructions is like that. You got to keep attached to the source. A lot of people sever themselves from the source, but you must stay attached to the source. That's what Torah is all about. All right, continue.
Verse 9. Honor Yehovah with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy vats shall overflow with new wine. My son, despise not the chastening of Yehovah, neither spurn thou his correction. For whom Yehovah loveth he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom.
Okay. All right, before we go further, all right. So the thing is that some people, use corporal punishment today. I know they got this new school thing, time out and everything like that. But we find here that, the Father chastise those whom we love. And that it's a correction. And when you're being chastised, you're being corrected. They're trying to save you. One of the things is that Eliphaz in the book of Job, it gives a good reason why some people suffer when they appear, seem to be righteous. Why do the righteous suffer? And it's being corrected by the Creator. The Creator take notice and trying to correct you. And that's why that answer is given by Eliphaz, that when God chastise those whom we love. Speaking of love, one of the things is just to go back a slight, which I meant to speak on, is that you read about all the accolades of Noah, but yet you don't read all the accolades about Abraham, who later on name can be changed to Abraham. You don't read all those accolades about him, but yet in the prophecy, it's called, and how Torah went on, it says, Abraham Ahabi, right? Abraham, my love, right? Which most books translate as my friend. Then what is true love? And when we look at Noah, he earned it. He walked with God. He was upright. He found grace, wholehearted and all that stuff. So he got some what you call a bunch of medals. He got an entourage, a resume that's stated. So you got to respect him, and and that's something that you got to look at. But when you find about Abraham, you don't read about any accolades. What did he do? We don't know. What merit Abraham to be called from Ur of Chaldeans when Terah had other sons? Why call him? What did he earn? And so it's like a relationship. If the relationship is based on her beauty, based on her intellect, based on her wealth, then if the beauty is there, and when it leaves, it's a relationship. Do you still have that love? If the wealth is there and it leaves, do you still have that love? If the intellect's a little slow down, do you still have that love? So the thing is that there's nothing said about what Abraham had when God called him. But later on in the prophets, it said that he loved them, because that love going to last, because he loved Abraham, not because of the accolades that he actually acquired in life. And that's one of the things that we got to learn ourselves, as individuals coming up, and we find it in the inner Proverbs, when they talk about the Eshakayah, the virtuous woman, a woman of valor, says, favor is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman that fears the Lord shall be praised. But let's finish it up.
Verse 13, it reads, Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that obtaineth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She's more precious than rubies, and all the things that thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is the tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is every one that holdeth her fast. Yehovah by wisdom found.
Right there before we go further. Before we go further. This is part of the prayer when they're taking out the Torah and stuff like that, bringing it back, So when we look at, part of the prayer they use on Shabbat and days when they, deal with the Torah. But what's interesting is that, all this here is that when a person gains wisdom, you say, well, what would you rather have your child, your daughter marry, if you had to marry your daughter? Some people say, I want to marry a wealthy individual. And then others might say, I want to marry an intellectual individual, a wise individual, a God-fearing individual. So now, naturally, you don't want to marry a bum. And both individuals want them to have something going on. But you can have the wealth, but with no knowledge. Then you might not, you might not keep it long. And if you say if it's a merchant, say, okay, he's a merchant, so he know how to do business. All well and good. But the guy that's a scholar, the guy that's intellectual, the guy that's, have wisdom, knowledge, understanding, he would know how to maintain a living in the most deadly areas, in the most harshest environments. And then you know for surety that your daughter be safe. Because now the guy, he might could pay for security. The other guy might know the guys, be able to talk to him where they don't need to pay for the security. You know, some people get so wealthy that they can't walk down the street by themselves. They say, wow. You know, or they might get snatched up, held at ransom, or they loved ones get held for ransom. So some of the things, you know, is perspective. Not saying you're not supposed to get wealth, because to tell you in right hand, you're not supposed to be a poverty if people serve this God. But the thing is that if you just pursue the wealth alone, as opposed to pursuing the the fear of God, the wisdom that goes along with God. So you'll get all that, you know, and maintain it. But let's go ahead and says, you know, the next part, 19th verse, going to deal with
Verse
the
19.
power of the Lord's wisdom.
Yehudah by wisdom found the earth, by understanding established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths were broken up, and the skies dropped down the dew. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto thy soul and grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy way securely, and thou shalt not dash thy foot. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid, yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden terror, neither of the destruction of the wicked when it cometh. For Yehovah will be thy confidence, and will keep thy foot from being caught. Withhold not good from him.
Hold it right there. Now, before we go there, one of the things is, before we go to the 27th verse, be not afraid of sudden terror, neither of the destruction of the wicked when it cometh, but the Lord will be thy confidence, and will keep thy foot from being caught. I just focus on that one little spot there. It's that, why would you be afraid when drama happened to the wicked? Because sometimes, that when you see how bad things could get for some individuals, how some people could be mangled. I know a lot of people like to watch these old, maybe sci-fi movies, or these gory, like Hannibal Lecter or some type of movie and stuff like that. When Halloween, when guys get really hacked up and stuff like that, or different tortures. When you see stuff like that go on, if a person even does, you figure deserve it, you become terrified when would this stop? How far will this go? So the thing is that to be able to recognize when justice is being executed, and that's why, it seems strange, when it says, be not afraid of sudden terror, neither the destruction of the wicked when it cometh. Sudden terror, you recognize it, but you wondering, am I going to be next? That's the only way you're going to be afraid. And here, it said you don't need to be. But go ahead, continue from the 27th verse.
Verse 27 reads, withhold not good from him to whom it is due, when it is in the power of thy hand to do it. Say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee. Devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. Strive not with a man without cause, if he have done thee no harm. Envy thou not the man of violence.
Without cause, a lot of people do that. A lot of people does that these days. Strive without cause. They don't have a cause. They don't. Some people just don't like you. Just don't like you. You never said anything or did anything to them. They just don't like you. They say, I got a bad vibe. You got a bad vibe. Yeah, I don't like that because this spirit ain't right. Did you talk to the person? Do you know who he is? No, I don't have to know. I feel it. I feel it. People are like that these days. But let's read a little bit further. I'm gonna finish this up.
Verse 39, it reads. 29, it reads. Devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. Strive not with a man without cause, if he have done thee no harm. Envy thou not the man of violence, choose none of his ways. For the perverse is an abomination to Yehovah, but his counsel is with the upright. The curse of Yahweh is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the habitation of the righteous. If it concerneth the scorners,
All right, use the different oppositions. All right, I use the opposition. And the last part, keep going. All right, we have to finish these verses out. But we having a problem with the communication.
Verse 34. If it concerneth the scorners, he scorneth them, but unto the humble he giveth grace. The wise shall inherit honor, but as for the fools, they carry away shame. Hallelujah.
Okay, hallelujah. I'm going to read the 31st verse all the way to the end again. The curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked. All right, so that means that if things never go good in your household, then you know something's going on there. All right, and said, but he blesses the habitations of the righteous. All right, that means you don't have to be ultra wealthy, but well protected. You know, we know so much compares to his Halloween season and stuff of that nature. And you don't know a friend or foe knocking on your door. And they say trick or treat. So are they going to treat you or are they going to trick you? Or are you supposed to treat them or are you supposed to trick them? They just say trick or treat. And so those things there, and then you come in disguise. You're saying you're somebody that you're not, portraying a lie. So those things here, that stuff says, you know, it's like a purge, so to speak. But we have a lot of these days that people, you know, celebrate and stuff in this particular country. But we got to be careful about what we allow into our household. And says, and if it concerned the scorners, he scorneth them. But unto the humble he gives grace. All right. Grace is something you get without working on it. You haven't earned grace. That's something you don't work on. There's no accolades. That's why, and we have a situation called Ekanah. Moses pleaded with God. He didn't say, look, I did this. You bothered me to go down in Egypt. You know, I took one for the team here. I took one for the team there. I put my life on the line for the team. Now you're going to tell me I can't go into the land? He didn't use none of that. And say, you owe me. Where we have one king said, I kept all the laws of God. You know what I mean? And God gave him 15 years. So it's like, said, the wise shall inherit honor. But as for fools, they carry away shame. So why a person going to be honored? Because people going to be talking about him and talking about what they did, he or she. So I hope you got something out of what I said. I know I went kind of choppy and fast through these 2 chapters, and it might be like that, but hopefully it will get much better as we proceed to the rest of the Proverbs. When I'm doing double Proverbs, and then I will try to always touch on something from the Sidra, you know, as we go forward. And any mistakes by my own, and I'd like to say Shalom Aleichem and early Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Any questions, just leave it and support the D.C.B. channel.
Hallelujah. Torah about Nasik. Thank you for your dedication and for the work. May the Most High God bless you. Shalom, shalom, everyone. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.